Today, we're going to be reviewing ShowReels. All right, and we're back. So, right, without further ado, let's get stuck into this, okay? You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let's go with the first one because we've been communicating backwards and forwards. So let me just see if it's the one I want it to be. Yes, it is. Okay, 1 second. Let me just move
First,
this.
demo reel or video book, as we call it in Spanish. But yes, you don't understand that. So anyway, it's a book, but it's a video.
Right, Jasper, first thing I got to say, we're going to look at yours right now. Put your name on the title of the video. Okay, because it came in as ShowReel 2021, I believe. Okay, that's good for you because you're probably the only person in your house that has a ShowReel. Okay, but put your name at the start of it. That's a perfect piece of advice for everybody. Make sure you put your details on the file. Okay.
Then also in the subject of your email, if it's an email, and there you're ready to go.
Let me explain why. Back in the day, the only thing people had were photos, right? And the question was, should I put my name on the photo? Does it look cheesy? Does it look tacky? And some people did. You could have them made up. I mean, back in the day when you actually had to go and print a couple of hundred photos.
Yes, my goodness.
We still have stacks of them, man.
Much more expensive. I mean,
you don't
know what is that. I mean, the investment was so,
Well, apart from the fact that if you wanted to get photos done, if you wanted to print them on photographic paper, which was best, it would run at like 50 cents to $1 for each particular copy.
It was expensive to
could
be an
really
actress before.
Yeah, I find it very expensive to be an actress, that's for sure. So put your name on the file. Right. I've spoken.
Remember these envelopes with a clear...
Yeah.
Do we? I don't think so.
I think about you all the time.
Sure. You decide on what you're going to do, and then you think about whether you can live with the effect your decision will have on me.
Rubbish.
Australia? They're good at making stuff, the Swiss. Watches. Chocolate. Women.
And brought weapons as well? Weapons? What do you mean weapons? These. Just keep them covered up, okay? What, you couldn't find anything a bit bigger? Oh, you mean like this? What do you think? I think you need help.
I miss her.
Do you?
What kind of question is that?
Why do you miss her?
I don't know what you're getting at, Michelle. Karina and I
Don't!
Okay. Okay.
Choose your weapon.
You first. Thank you, I will.
Loser.
Oh, really? This is a very good one, isn't it? Yes.
On your mark. Get ready, set, and go! 3, 2, 1, and up!
It taints me, and you. What about all those people you can't help?
What about all the ones that I can?
I'm scared.
What?
You think I go to pieces when I can't be alpha male? You have no idea. Get out.
Cool. All right. Reactions of some time?
Okay.
Right. No, this is
I
very...
like a little bit of humor.
Yeah, well, this is good to know. Jasper Moorlander says, thank you very much. I'm an actor from Sweden, also a professional magician, and I've studied in Sweden, Australia, and England.
Thank you for taking the time. Don't hold back.
You can find some places that were closer together. Fabulous. Look, I've worked a lot with magicians.
Yes, that's true.
I don't know if you know.
Can you put this picture in the middle of you and me?
Yeah, I'm going to move it in a second. There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. There's Jasper there. I've worked a lot with magicians, and it's very interesting. If you ever read David Mamet's book True and False, which I highly recommend everybody out there, if you haven't, to have a read of it, it opens with a quote from Robert Houdin, the French magician, which says, a magician is an actor pretending to be a magician. And this is very, very interesting for me because there's one thing that magicians tend to have which other actors or performers don't have, which is precision and poise. And this is one of the toughest things that I've been exploring recently when I've been coaching people, is the attempt to find this poise. It's something that British actors, we sort of like learn through imitation from being very, very young. And it's a sort of thing that can be crippling. But there's one thing that you have here is a consciousness of attention that either an actor has it, or in your case, an actor who also happens to be a magician, because as you know, being a magician is all about manipulating attention.
Yes, and there are very nice things here. Why? Because these thoughts that you have before a phrase, instantly we are intrigued. You are creating questions for us, so we are there, and it's nice. It's nice to see the end, and it's gratifying for us, and that is something that is very good, because we always say that, the actor doesn't have to answer the questions, but answer the questions exactly, but generate the questions. And that is very important, because you have to understand this communication, so that when you are acting, what you are doing is sharing your thoughts, and you do that, and it's very gratifying to see. So if you want, we can see it again, back again.
Let's go through it bit by bit. And I also want to say konnichiwa to Onda Koyuro from Japan. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see people from so far away.
Appreciation to you too.
Tomarigato. Right, so let's have a look at this again. Okay.
Okay, so that is a very nice picture. It's good.
Very nice picture.
I would put first though something like a noise, something of a tension, because you don't know if the actual showreel had started or not. And normally people do things, and they put it, and it's a pity that they lose this image and your name. So I like to have some kind of call to action.
Here's a little something that I discovered through years of editing showreels and putting self-tapes together. We were doing self-tapes 15 years ago. We were doing self-tapes.
Well, my first was way before that.
I remember you did a self-tape for Peter Jackson for the film The Frighteners in London in 1993. Cost you an arm and a leg.
Before that, I went in 1988, and I had already a video, a showreel that Sescal Biel had actually had the time to edit it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got him to do it?
1988. But he did it.
You've no idea how.
He did it as a gift.
Wow, that's great. So 4 seconds, okay? Any particular title. If you got a black screen with your name in it, keep it there for 4 seconds. 3 is too short. 5 is a little bit too long. 4 seems to be the sweet spot. I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, so you start in black, which is fine. Let me just switch this around. Okay, so right, you have a fade up of a half second. Right, and you have a little fade out. If I could choose it, I would say. And this is really pedantic, everybody. Just give me 1 more second. That's what we're talking about here, precision. This is like the Pharaoh shuffle, as it were.
Yeah, and you wouldn't put a little bit of sound. It is people that they do very creative things.
Well, you could put a little sting in there.
Yeah.
like a little musical sting or a little meow. I don't know, something. You mean something to draw attention to it?
Yeah, it's like the magicians. You have to call their attention.
Yeah, but it's this. I mean, look, this is nitpicking. This is not, this is not an issue here.
I don't think so.
I think about you all the time.
Sure. You decide on what you're going to do, and then you think about whether you can live with the effect your decision will have on me.
Rubbish.
Australia?
They're good at making stuff, the Swiss. Watches. Chocolate. Women.
It's nice, the precision.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Weapons as well? Weapons. What do you mean weapons? These. Just keep them covered up, okay? What, you couldn't find anything a bit bigger?
Right. This is interesting, Jasper, because this is not your casting.
Yes.
This is not the sort of thing that you're good at. Okay. I mean, it's fine, but it's not the sort of thing that that's easy, because you're not somebody who deals with brute force. You're somebody who deals with the mind, with the imagination, with manipulating attention, with all those particular things. With this sort of thing and the way it's shot, and the guy you're working with who's kind of chaotic, you'll see this always in a movie. The minute when somebody presents a knife, they'll actually turn it so it captures the light. It's such a cliche, but you have to do it because otherwise the knife is invisible. And the other guy's a little bit chaotic here. But this is
not as precise as you are.
This is fine, but it's just not the sort of thing I would necessarily cast you in.
Yeah, you have only half,
I mean, like this?
And the problem also is that he has this helmet. We don't see his eyes, so he's also speaking. And it's a scene that I wouldn't put it there. It doesn't say anything about your acting, about anything. I think that supposedly, I don't know, I suppose that you put that there because it's kind of a funny scene, but it's not a funny scene. Also, the sound is a little bit, we don't know where it is. There is too much black, and we don't know if it's interior with a big space, exterior. We get a little bit confused by that. I don't think that is a good scene for you. I would just take it away.
But in that case, Jasper, we've probably reviewed, since we started doing this, I think we must have reviewed at least 100 or so showreels since we kicked off. And quite frankly, this is not amongst the most terrible things we've ever seen.
No. We're just,
It's more than acceptable. It's just it's not your thing.
Speaking fine, but what we want is, is when we show a show reel, what we want is to be so proud about what we've done, and that's what it should be, and if there is something that, but you don't see it well, but no, it has to be everything like great, because that's what the people see, the greatness. And then, if not, it feels a little bit deceived. They cannot see, or they are thinking in other things that is not your acting.
Well, let me mention a couple of things here. First of all, I want to say hello to Alberto Arroyo, who's in Spain. Welcome here. He's on LinkedIn with us right now. And Jasper says, haha, Pharaoh Shuffle. Yeah, I only say that so you you have an idea that I know what I'm talking about, sort of. David Mamet, haha, Pharaoh Shuffle, and referencing David Mamet, I feel right at home. David Mamet, for those of you who don't know, actually wrote a show called for one of the most wonderful magicians and historians of magic, Ricky Jay, back in the day, who you have seen in many of his films. And curiously enough, Paul Thomas Anderson is a big fan of his. And if you've ever seen Magnolia, the man who does the voiceover in the opening 3 stories of that wonderful film, that's the voice of Ricky Jay. And he also appears as the one of the studio producers in the movie itself. He says, funny you should say that. It's not my casting. I've been told my casting be somewhere closer to Mission Impossible or James Bond on the best of days. So this is different feedback.
This is different feedback.
Fantastic feedback already. Nitpick away.
So this is a different feedback, fantastic feedback already, nitpick away.
Well, this is one of the things I say, Jasper, is that you are many things, but you are not a heavy. But one of the things that you're going to have to deal with is your physical nature. You're an ectomorph. You're like me. You're going to have to deal with the idea of being elegant.
Yeah.
and that's
That's a plus,
it's
There's
not-
not too many.
it's not too bad a thing.
Now that they put themselves with all these, big things, being elegant is a nice distinction.
Are you calling him skinny?
No, I'm calling him interesting, different.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going.
I miss her.
Do you?
What kind of question is that?
Why do you miss her?
I don't know what you're getting at, Michelle. Karina and I
Don't.
Okay.
Nice. I don't know if you have more of this scene. I'd like to see more of this scene.
I'd like to see all of it.
Yeah, why you cut it? It's because she's the one only who talks, or because it's a nice scene, and I want to see more. Which is good. Also, don't show it to me because then I have the idea. But I think that in the acting sphere, for a casting director or a director that want to see you, they want to see you more as an actor. There are these little pieces cut, and I think you have to have a scene which you like this one, But it's I perceive that this is cut too fast, no?
Yeah, this I'll tell you why they say James Bond and Mission Impossible. It's got to do with poison. It's got to do with precision. It's also got to do with this very tricky thing where somebody is capable of sharing their degree of intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean you're smart, because I know a lot of actors who seem really smart on camera, but they're not exactly brain surgeons. But what it does is that you let us into a kind of sophistication of thought, which is a very, very useful and very powerful thing. Something that I'm always talking about, which is this idea of how to share what we're thinking with the audience, particularly with the camera. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, that is a light scene. It's a little bit different than the other ones that we have, the one that we're going to see now. It's okay, but it's a little bit short too. I don't know if you have more of this scene or if it deserves to put it in there. Because I like to see you as a comedy guy, so this one is kind of intrigued me.
Yeah.
Choose your weapon.
You first.
Thank you, I will.
First loser.
Oh, really? It's a very good one, isn't it? Yes.
On your mark. And ready, set, and go! 3, 2, 1, and up!
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about the jammy dodger on the fishing line on your lapel, but we won't go there. I'm not entirely sure what that is. It's kind of it's a tough scene. You do a nice fast effect, fast vanish. It's a little tricky because the sound is rather ugly there.
Yeah.
I would almost consider removing the sound of the scene and putting some kind of playful classical music on top of it. Just taking out the sound altogether because it's not really you say anything. But anyway, that's just a thought, just an idea, because just to focus on you more than anything else. Right, let's get back here.
Yeah.
Right, so
I also appreciate very much.
3, 2, 1, and up!
It's kind of funny. I appreciate this kind of magician right now. I think that is good that one shows the abilities also in a scene.
get Jasper, and you'll never believe what he can do with a custard cream. Yeah, that's good. All right, so
Taints me, and you. What about all those people you can't help?
What about all the ones that I can?
I'm scared.
That is beautiful.
What?
You see this pause where you hesitate, but we don't know exactly if you hesitate. So we are really intrigued by what you're going to do.
the only thing I wish you did was, this is a different angle from the previous one, I believe. Let me just have a quick look, because we got this here and we got this here. Okay, so the interesting thing is here you're looking off over the line of camera, and this here you're inside the light of camera, but what you're not conscious of is that you've got your eyes are in darkness. Okay, I've explained this before, but I'm gonna do it again. Okay, because this is kind of useful. Let me. Where's the other one? Oh, here it is. So let me just. So I'm gonna switch these off. Okay, so here we're in darkness right now, more or less. Right, I'm gonna come here. Right, so. Okay, so what happens is that when we have a single light source, it'll be soft or it'll be harsh. But what will happen is we'll begin to have our eyes go into darkness. Okay, this is far too sensitively placed because this is quite hard to do because I have to kind of hide from it. But the thing is that when we know our eyes are in light is when we can see the light with both eyes. For example, I can only see the light with my this eye here right now. So when we got very complicated lighting setup, what we do is we actually turn until we can see. Okay, now I've got light in both eyes. Now I know if I'm speaking to somebody, I've got light in both eyes. Light and shadow. And what you're attempting to do is you're attempting to force that little twinkle that we get when we got light in our eyes. Now let me see if I got it from the get it from the other. Whether that's here, that's easier. Now I've got light. You see that? So sometimes we have to define not only where the camera is, but we also have to try and work out where the light is falling on our face. And the only thing which is important on our face where light is concerned is our eyes. Okay, if you can see the light with both eyes, you've got light in your eyes. Now that might sound obvious, but it's just another aspect of the whole film acting technique which will allow you to control the entire place that you're working. And if you're capable of doing that, and the director of photography sees that you're capable of doing that, they'll make it much more interesting, and they'll make it much more exciting in terms, and much more complicated when it comes. Jesus, that's bright. When it comes, that's almost too much now. When it comes to lighting the thing, okay. And that's what I've got here. So let me pop back to where we were. Okay, so we were just here, and because what you'll see is you have light which is upwards and to your right there, and what it's doing is your orbital socket is causing light to be cast on that eye. And what I don't have is I don't have that twinkle. If you just turned your head 4 centimeters to the right, we would have that, and we would see what you're thinking. Now, that's not a criticism. One of the things which is really important, and the great advantage that we have right now in the 21st century, is we have the opportunity to play with cameras and play with lights and see what does and doesn't work. You're a magician. You've done a lot of the stuff that you've done by looking in a mirror or recording it. Not your face, but to see whether what you're doing is visible in one way or another, however that happens to work. So to everybody out there who's watching that, next time you're in, there's a single source of lighting, turn your head, close an eye, and you'll and move your head until you see the light in the offside eye. Okay, take a picture and you'll see how it works. It's basically the way I discovered how to use light and how to relate to the camera by just doing that. Okay, sorry, I'm going to shut up. Let's keep going.
It taints me. And you, what about all those people you can't help?
What about all the ones that I can?
I'm scared.
It is a pity, because if you just turn a little bit, but it's okay. I like it.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, I'm not. It's
I like it. I like it because it's powerful what you do. But I like to see a little bit more of your eyes, your thoughts. What the eyes are the window to your heart. We have to see that.
Right.
You think I go to pieces when I can't be alpha male? You have no idea. Get out.
Good. See the light in your eyes there? Lovely. Loving it. I like that.
Yes.
That's good. So he sells us.
But it sells us the magician, which he says an interesting thing. Jasper says the magic scene was added by agent request for
sleight
of hand commercials. What does that mean?
Sleight of hand is spelt like that because it comes from the French. You know, légèrement.
Oh, for sleight of hand. Oh, I see. Commercials. I'm proving that magic skills in my CV aren't made up. It's over the top. Yeah, it's over the top, but we understand that magicians, or that doesn't matter too much, you know. But
it's a really, really useful skill to have in your back pocket. There's a lot of people out there who are magicians, whether it's Steve Carell or whether it's Steve Martin.
yeah.
Most actors called Steve are good at magic. No,
Yeah.
it's a
What
really,
about Steve Molander?
yeah. I saw Steve Martin doing in the film Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, where you take the coin and you make it go over your hand, and I thought, oh my god, an actor did that. So I spent 4 or 5 days perfecting it, until I realized that he'd been a magician since the age of 8. It's a wonderful skill to have. It's highly respectable, and you should have a magic wheel if you're doing close-up magic or card stuff. You should have a magic wheel. Think about shooting something, putting it in there, because your agent's right. They didn't believe you could do it.
Of course, it's very interesting. Also for you know, a lot of times, you know, that happens that you know, there's a character that is also a magician, and it's interesting that you can do that. It is, you know, your possibilities of, you know, being there they are much, you know, much higher if you can demonstrate that you can do that.
Yeah. So I hope we were we weren't.
It's fun. You can do some fun thing.
Absolutely.
But you know, like a ridiculous magic scene or something. I don't know. It would be nice.
Yeah, we have spent a lot of time at the Magic Castle in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles with our friend Jonathan.
Yeah, and we worked.
Magician.
Yeah, I used to work with magicians. I'm not a magician, but I know enough about magic, and I have a real respect and love for it when it's effective, when it works, when it's good. The magicians would use me as a guy from the audience, you know, for their rehearsals, because very often they'd have a new trick or a new effect, and they didn't know whether it worked. Mm-hmm. So very often they would do a trick, and I knew how complex it was. That's why I know about Pharaoh Shuffles. I knew how technically complex it was, but they would do the effect, and I'd go, I don't know what you just did. I have no idea what you just... I mean, it was impressive, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be impressed by. So it's kind of interesting.
There is one question in Spanish. We're going to try to translate it, and our question and also the answer.
Right, very quickly. Jasper says, I have a magic wheel, and I much appreciate your criticism, but have you gone soft? You're being too nice to me. No. No, look at that. Your use of light is terrible. How dare you? You should be ashamed of yourself.
We already told you about this thing of the eyes, that, you know.
No, it's, look.
But it's all we see it, really.
Look, one of the most important things for anybody in their show reel, the demo reel, or here in Spain, their video book, right, is that you come across as competent, confident, and you know what you're doing, okay? You're never looking for somebody to go, oh, wow, he's amazing. That's a side effect of being very, very competent. It's like art is never the objective. It's like people ask, it's interesting about magic. People go, is it art? Is magic art or craft or sort of science or technique? Well, the truth is it's craft, but if it's done well enough, it appears to be art. But you can never do something where art is the only objective, because then if it's terrible and it doesn't work, people go, well, it's art. Right.
If I can recommend you to do, you know, to better your demo reel, I would put some comedic scene with magic stuff. I think it would be a very intelligent way of, you know, showing both. Then I would go to the elegant profile that Scott was telling you about. I think, you know, the twink of the eye, the how you call it, you know, the characters like, well, you know, there's many. But
well, I mean, look, the typical, you know, what you would end up, you know, you're the sort of guy who would play Sherlock or would play Doctor Who. I mean, that's the sort of guy that you would end up being. You know, it's the people who speak swiftly, elegantly, and with incredible precision. That's something that you should look to do. If you're looking for a piece or something that you want to work on, you want to look for something which has that kind of mercurial thought to it.
Mercurial, like a quick delivery. I think that is very interesting, that we know that you are good also with words and you know, and a scene, and choose a scene, a monologue that is a little bit, that this shows you as an actor, where there is this elegance on it and the twink of the eye.
And don't be afraid to mix up the Swedish or any other languages you speak.
Yes, that is also a good thing you can do, because I want to see, I want to hear you in your own language. I want you to see you. It's a very nice thing, because sometimes and other things appear, because sometimes this precision could be also kind of a control that you do of yourself. We do that. And so we want to see also one that you are more, how you say that, echado pa'lante.
Echado para adelante, tío.
Exactly.
De toda la vida.
No.
I'm sure somebody will get the translate that, more out there. Let's say that.
Yeah, more out there.
More out there.
Out there, and also emotional thing is not bad for you too, to try, because after you've done this elegance thing, I think I would also do some other scene where there is a little bit more emotional. Emotional. Not that you have to be emotional.
No. It's this is an interesting thing. My revelation the other day was the difference between feeling something or meaning something and emotion. Emotion is a generalized state that we get ourselves into, but to feel something, like we say something when we really feel it, sometimes we're not quite sure what we feel about it, and by saying it, we're attempting to come to terms with what we feel about it. Mm-hmm. Those things, those moments, those explorations of our relationship with what we're talking about is really fascinating to watch, always. It's very interesting because a magician has a real advantage, because on one side you're doing something which is extraordinarily technical, which you are hiding, okay? Because what you're doing is you're convincing yourself that what you're doing isn't really happening. And meanwhile, you're doing something which is completely different, which is dealing with something which was with a degree of innocence that's over here. It's over there. No. It's over there. But you have to do it with a degree of truthfulness. So it's sort of the halfway between repairing a watch, performing a role, and participating in a documentary. It's sort of all those things at once. Right.
For instance, there is this kind of monologues, inner monologue. I would like to see about the things that Hugh Grant does so well. Something with a
lot of blinking.
Yeah, this kind of uncertainty also is good, because if you put the uncertainty and the precise things that you do, then it's going to be, wow, he's a good actor. Sometimes you have also to to do things that they are the opposite, and it works.
Look at Doctor Who, if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Right. Let's. Barry Chadwick says he loves us both in sharp. Well, thank you, Barry. That's wonderful to hear. Right. No, it's all right.
Okay, Richard Castro says.
No.
In Spanish.
Crystal says she used Facebook to translate it. I think we can muscle our way through this, right?
So what do you think about...
Right, well, okay, what's your opinion of putting fragments of self-tapes in a demo reel or a show reel?
About something that could have been, but it wasn't. And also introduces aspects of your acting that you cannot show in other projects, in other professional projects, because not always you were selected, because the way you act in the self-tape is bad, but also is because of other reasons. In this case, to send the self-tapes into the trash, or perhaps recycle them. What would be your opinion?
So basically, the question is effectively: is it a good idea to add to your showreel parts or pieces of self-tapes that you may have recorded for professional jobs? First thing is, be careful that you're not using anything which you have signed a non-disclosure agreement for. Okay? If it's a big job or something, very often what they'll do now is they'll get you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. However, they're very wise to that, so what they'll have usually is a scene. If it's an important role, they'll have a scene which is taken from something else, or they will specifically write something for the casting or the audition, whatever it might be. I know that when we did the auditions for Quantum of Solace, we were using scenes from Casino Royale. Okay, so all the girls who were coming in to audition to be for the job that Olga Kurichenko got in the end of the day, although a Spanish actress almost got it. Very close. She met the director and worked with Daniel Craig and all the rest of it. So they used it from another movie. I helped somebody who was auditioning to play the lead in a movie that they didn't even know what it was called, but the scene they did was from Last Tango in Paris. And I put 2 and 2 together and said, you're auditioning to play Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey. I had somebody else who was auditioning for another movie that also had a hidden name called Time Out of Mind, and they were using a scene from The Betrayal by Harold Pinter, and the film was Assassin's Creed. So go figure. What my suggestion would be is if it's not copyrighted or you've signed a non-disclosure agreement and you're sufficiently proud of your work in it, it's not badly shot, and the sound is good, why not? After this last year, this is what we're used to seeing actors doing. We've all done it.
What we want to do, what we want to see is an action.
Oye, perdón. Para mí, de mi punto de vista, adelante. Si no, si está fuera de, sabes, si no tienes un contrato de confidencialidad o es un texto que no pertenece a la película o a la serie de televisión, adelante. Yo no veo ningún problema de utilizarlo. Sorry. Meanwhile, back in English.
No. What we want to see is a scene where you act. Acting is not only saying words, is actually revealing thoughts. Acting is about the pauses where you are creative. You know, if is the pauses when you are creative. You know, the things that actually shows your potential is when you listen, when you have an idea, when you are sharing with us a thought. So a process of thought also, it would be very nice, you know, so from one thing A to B, or, you know, from black to white, you know, the idea of actually making the other person investigate, spy on you, you know, not saying everything crystal exactly what it is, but to have this you know, this mysterious, where is she going? Where is he going? What does he want mean about that? Oh, really? So that is but before I said, oh, wow, he's a strong woman. Or, you know, but she was crying before. You know, all these contradictions is where it makes it also truthful. So, you know, if you can find a text, you know, that it actually reveals what is in the subtext, that's what we say in theater, right? What is not in there, but is actually what you really want. And it's a contradiction of what you're saying, then is also much more interesting. So, you know, you have always to find pieces where you can show all these thoughts that they are not in the page, that you really bring into the table, and because then the people identify that as a good acting, because you know, you are with them, you call their attention not by the actual test, but by your thoughts.
It's just very interesting because Richard says it's better to dare and make mistakes on stage, as it were, than to remain perfectly seated in the bleachers.
On the bleachers. Okay.
On the bleachers specifically. One of the things that's dangerous for actors to attempt to achieve is perfection. What we're really doing is we're attempting to represent the most interesting imperfection that we all go through every moment of our lives in every human interaction. Going back to David Mamet, he says a very interesting thing in his book True and False, which is you invent nothing and accept everything. Now, what does that mean? That means specifically that there's no external director who's telling you, i.e. yourself, you're not telling yourself how to perform or act. It's just going to happen. The horse walks, the dog barks, the tree sways in the wind. There's no external decision there. And so much of how we interact with the universe and the world around us and the people who are there is driven by so many very, very complex things that we as actors on camera, we have to learn how to simplify things, make intelligent choices to do simple things with enormous commitment. Good night. Right. Eduardo asks, how often do you have to sign an NDA for a casting? Now, well, it's now more than ever.
Yeah.
I've actually had to virtually sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, for voiceover jobs or voiceover auditions. I've had to record myself for usually a video game or something like that. This is when it happens, because you're dealing with a product which is going to cost $150 million. And any information about that product or that IP, that intellectual property, is worth money. There's many things which have come out with, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2, when it came out. It's an absolute miracle that nobody talked about it, because there were 700 shooting days and over 800 actors were used on that project. And it's an absolute miracle that none of that information came out. So when they announced that they were doing this game, that this game was going to be coming out, it was news for absolutely everybody. It's one of the things that we have to kind of get used to, and also we have to obey. The other thing that happens is, a lot of the time when you get the sides, or in Spain they're called a separata, your name will be on that page as a watermark. You have to keep track of absolutely everything, because casting offices, the actors, particularly the actors, are the most porous part of the entire process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Domenico Natella said, awesome, Assumpta. Thank you. Subtext, thought line, paradox, and intelligent choices enrich so much an actor performance and reveal the character. Exactly. That, to me, is what it is good acting. Perhaps there is other things like commitment, like what said. No, we have a book actually that we are writing called The Science of Acting, but we talk about that because it's a mixture of the attitude and also technique. And so, it's an interesting way of grasping what it is good acting, on camera. And it's going to be, I think, a very interesting and revealing book.
Yeah, watch this space. Let's go on to the next one, and let's.
It's already 9, so we don't have too much time.
Yeah, well, let's do it, because I want.
But it was very nice, Jasper. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's great.
for showing us.
Okay, so this is Johnny D. James.
I hope we.
Who do you work for?
We helped you.
Right. Okay, so here we go. You ready?
Johnny D. James. Okay.
Yeah. Who do you work for?
Told you, I work for Asda in the meat section.
Where is the unit?
I told you, the meat section of Asda.
Sir, your line has been disconnected, right?
Huh? बिल नहीं भरा इसलिए लाइन काट दिया होगा.
Sharon, where do defaulters go?
Defaulters?
Yeah.
Where do defaulters go?
Defaulters? That way.
That way.
I'm not a defaulter. Good Indian.
Right, I'm sorry, just to interrupt this. Sometimes I have to interrupt showreels when we're watching them, because I'm a little bit scared that they're going to cut the live stream, because they're going to detect the music. That's kind of what happens. Here we're listening to.
We have to.
We're listening to The Third Man.
Yes, we have to understand that everything has rights, because someone actually had created it.
Somebody actually created it.
And it's hard to put things from others. I know that sometimes there is some countries that these intellectual property rights are not really into their ADN, but
no DNA.
DNA. Sorry.
DNA.
But we have to get used to, and we have to pay for things.
Well, normally, look, this is an important thing. If you're editing your own showreel, demo reel, whatever it might be, you can pretty much put any music you want on it up to a certain point. What will happen is, if it goes on YouTube, it will get claimed. All that means is you can't monetize the video, because what will happen is the money from that will actually go to the people who made the music. So you can pretty much do anything you want. There's a few things that you can't do. I think Led Zeppelin you can't use. There's a couple of people who will just stop you from being able to use it, and you have to be very, very careful. In this particular case, because we're live streaming, the algorithm is super sensitive to any music that we might be putting out there, because you can't use copyrighted material in a live setting, as it were. Okay, let's get back to this. Oh, and
There's
my brother says, "Hi
guys.
guys, I'm going to be on telly. Beat the Chasers. I won't mention how much I love you." All right, Pride Time. So my brother is going on. You're gonna have to tell me the name of the show, Ross, because I haven't lived in the UK for 30 years, and I have no idea what the show's called. But it's a massive quiz show where there's chasers on it. And anyway, my brother Ross is gonna be on the show. He was supposed to be on it before
That's
COVID
nice.
happened, so that's pretty cool. Look at that. Who would have thought the Cleverdons would have a lot of trivia in their heads? Okay, let's get back to our friend here.
Is it safe? Is it safe?
I think so.
Is it safe? What's your code name?
Tango, Whiskey, Alpha, Tango.
Welcome to the unit.
Thank you.
Hey! Hey! Thick piece of shit! Hey! Easy, mate. Easy. Easy.
There's some nice things there. It's yeah. There's a couple of things I would change, just because we need to identify you immediately. That's the thing that we need to do. We need to immediately identify you. Okay, so there's some things I would move around, but yeah, it's competent. You got some silly things. You got some dramatic things. It's kind of well shot. There's references there. I'm not sure whether everybody gets them. Is it safe? You know what that's a reference to? That's a reference to, I want to say it's John Frankenheimer directed the movie, but it's a movie called Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman, Roy Schneider, and Laurence Olivier. And Laurence Olivier plays a former Nazi interrogator.
Okay, so
And the way he interrogates them is he does it with a drill into the teeth, right? And all he asks is it safe? Is it safe? And he would go, yeah, it's safe. It's very safe. It's as safe as you can possibly imagine. I don't know. It's not safe. It's not. That's the very famous movie where Dustin Hoffman had to play somebody who hadn't slept all night and was freezing. So he didn't sleep all night, and he put ice cubes down the front of his underpants. And Laurence Olivier saw him doing this and said, "There's an easier way, dear boy. It's called acting."
That's nice, this one.
It's the most told acting anecdote
Yes.
in the history of acting anecdotes. All right, so let's
Okay, Johnny, let's hear you.
all right, let's go back to the start. Nice photo. Right, but Johnny, do me a favor. I don't know whether that's a Tommy Hilfiger shirt, right?
Yeah.
My suggestions for photos: be the most interesting thing in the photo.
Yes, because if there is colors and this, our eye go there or gets distracted. So, if you can actually cut it here, then you also are going to be.
He's in
bigger
shape,
image.
but our boy Johnny's in shape, so that. But great piece of advice for gentlemen out there: go get a big chunky sweater.
Why?
Because like someone with texture looks good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It kind of looks good. Unless you're ripped you know, unless you like look like Wolverine. But it's the sort of thing that says, you know that sweater I've got that.
Yes, I see it.
You know that's
Very
been
nice.
that's been in a million photos.
Yes.
There's one at me with it on. I've used it for probably 30 years. Moths permitting, right?
Who do you work for?
Told you, I work for Asda in the meat section.
Where is the unit?
I told you, the meat section of Asda.
Sir, your line has been disconnected, right?
Right. This is the tricky thing here, Joni, because what we've got, first of all, is we've got you heavily disguised. Okay? You're wearing like a orange hazmat suit and you're handcuffed. Okay? So we're not really getting a good idea of who you are. Okay? What I would conceivably do would be perhaps to start with a piece from the ending thing.
Yes, when you actually show you're acting better, and when we are really, really establish who you are.
And when you're there with a girl, because I like that, because it's kind of mysterious, and I don't quite know what's going on. I don't know where it came from, but it's very interesting. You're very present, and also you look like you. Okay, and you look good there.
Huh?
Sharon, where do defaulters go?
Defaulters?
Yeah.
Where do defaulters go?
Defaulters? That way.
That way.
I'm not a defaulter. Good Indian.
Right, that's nice. You do the Indian thing, right? Which is, I love the accent. It's absolutely, it's so charming. It's the only thing I can say. It's just lovely. And that's an important thing to define as well. That's something else you can do. Okay, but the other guy's got more presence there.
Yes, that's the problem.
Because he's a big mofo.
Yeah, and also when your phrase, which is very good and very well delivered, you are out of focus. And
yeah,
I don't know if this scene tells you very much things. I wouldn't put it that one.
You wouldn't?
No.
You wouldn't slip it in somewhere?
No.
Even if you slipped forward and went, "I'm not a defaulter."
Yeah, only that.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe only that.
Yeah, but I want to, it's kind of a joke, and what I want to see is acting.
Well, the other thing I want to see is status. I want to see something which is a little higher status.
Okay, and that is the one. Okay.
You know what I mean? This is
Okay.
particularly low status. The one at the end is kind of high status. It's, it's what it is.
Is it safe? Is it safe?
I think so.
Is it safe? What's your code name?
Tango, Whiskey, Alpha, Tango.
Welcome to the unit.
Thank you.
That was okay.
It's just so silly. I love it.
You see. And that is okay too. There is a little bit of emotional. I like how it finishes.
Yeah.
But
Thick piece of shit! Hey!
what does he say?
You piece of shit.
Piece of shit. It's weird how it starts there, the music. One day. Here I don't understand why you're laughing.
Well, I get the impression that it's various different pieces of the same scene cut together, which is why there's those jumps in the music. Now you can fix that because there's no there's no on-set sound there. We're not hearing anything per se, so you can actually take it out and put a different piece of music on top of it.
But if the effect at the end is what we want to keep, I wouldn't put you laughing. I would continue with with the scene.
Is he laughing?
Yeah, it's laughing. No, not that. This one.
Yeah, but that's because we don't know what he's laughing at. That's what I mean. It's
Well,
cut.
we know
You hear-
because the other guy.
no, but you hear the music changing. Listen, the music drops and changes to something else.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I
don't think you should be afraid to necessarily look at, try and make it make a little bit more sense to see what it is, because he stepped in something we don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't see any noise about what he's stepping in.
If he stepped in dog poo.
Yeah, we don't know. Go on, how we would do that?
Kind of sludgy sound.
Yeah.
Viviana says, your expression said it all, Assumpta, regarding my sweater.
Yeah, it was a beautiful sweater.
Is it? I still have it.
Still have it,
I
yeah.
still have it. I think it's more holes than sweater now. It's more like a string vest. Yeah, I remember when we bought that in London in 1993.
Yeah, still here.
Yeah, it was expensive.
Also, yeah.
It was
only these things that they're expensive. Just you didn't believe me back then.
No, I didn't believe you back then. My wife told me that. She said, if you buy stuff which is really expensive, it lasts.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, how long could
27
a £100 T-shirt last? Or and I can tell you, it lasts about 20 years.
What else? Let's see the end of Jasper.
And there's no Jasper, it's Johnny.
I mean Johnny.
Okay.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's because we're doing these sort of jump cuts. You should be really scared because he's holding a French knife.
I don't know. I think this scene it has to be recut or something.
I'd like to see what it looked like longer. You got my email. Send me the longer scene. I'd love to see it. I would like to see how it is, because you're good here. You're good here in your high status, and your status drops because he's got a knife and now you're scared.
Easy.
Okay, we need...
It's too high the volume. It's too high the volume.
The volume or the mix?
The mix. Sorry.
The mix. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see the whole scene because I'm sure you can use it. You could take advantage of it in a more, I don't know, something that shows more of you. Because there's a nice status change that you become high status. He's scared. He steps in dog shit or whatever the hell it is, and then you kind of you both kind of laugh, and then he reveals the knife.
But I don't think this music is doing any favor.
Well, no, that's not him. That's
I know. But
yeah, it's a kind of sub Philip Glass kind of,
yeah.
A double string quartet giving it.
Okay.
All the,
so
well, there's things. So the main thing I would take away from that, Joni, is that I would try to get something where I could identify you more swiftly, which means I would probably need to have a piece from the final scene right at the start, and then top and tail it with that. Like when you just turn and go, you go, what do you want, sort of thing.
I agree.
And then you could go into the other things, because we need to go from your photo, and then from your photo and your name, we need to go to a guy acting who looks like that dude. And the orange hazmat suit is a little bit, huh? By the time you've...
Yeah, and it puts you in a low...
Yeah, it's not high comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not high comedy. But no, you're competent. Remember, that's the objective here, is to appear competent. But great, thank you for sending us that. Let's
But I like to see you more of acting things. I like to see you, actually, not in little small roles.
Yeah, I want to see you playing something that's high status, something which is
something that you direct into the camera. That would be your first scene.
Something got a bit of swagger to it.
And that you explain your story to a friend and how you came to London or something like that. Something that makes us believe that you are telling a story that really is compelling to you, that honestly you share with us your thoughts. I love that. I always love that.
And listen, this is the other thing that when we've been speaking to casting directors, we've been speaking to agents, is the one thing that everybody's interested in is the actor who they think can star in their TV show or their movie.
Yeah, that's
particularly their TV show. That's what they all want.
They're looking for. Yeah.
They're not looking for somebody who's going to be third house painter. They're looking for somebody who can play, the lead or the sidekick to the lead who never goes anywhere. Somebody who's really, really competent. And,
the problem is that if you only show little roles, then, that's what you are selling. You're selling you in short roles. So, let's try to do something different, even if it's with your telephone.
Right. Okay, so let's come. Jasper has an interesting question here.
Quick question. I'm Swedish, but I've lived in London, and at times I can perhaps fool someone to think English is my first language. But how important is a pristine RP, received pronunciation, or unfiltered native English accent for work in international movies and series? How far do you get with only being able to do a Swedish accented English if you want to work internationally?
Well, look, first of all, I'd say to you, your English is extremely good. As with most Swedish actors, you grow up with English. It's in with the bricks. I've heard Swedish friends speaking to each other in English. It's that normal. The one thing I would suggest that you lean into is working on your American accent. That's Joel Kinnaman. Everybody assumes he's an American. He's in House of Cards. He plays a Republican senator. He's the star of Altered Carbon. He's in Suicide Squad. He's in The Killing, in which he's amazing. And that dude's from Sweden. There's other people who... What's her name? Oh, God. I can't believe I forgot it. Who's in the Mission Impossible films. I'm sure you'll remind me about that. Jessica Ferguson. Was it Jessica Ferguson? It's Stellan Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård. I work with Alexander Skarsgård. Their English is almost entirely American with a slight flavor of something.
Is Dolph?
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren is Swedish. He's
Yeah.
Swedish. Morten Harket is Norwegian, so don't go there. The singer of Aha. I looked it up the other day. As I said, Aurora. I think Aurora is Norwegian as well. But anyway, look up Aurora on YouTube. You'll love her. Warrior. It's like a bullet to the head. It's amazing. So I would concentrate on your American accent. Work on that really hard. And it's not that far away for you to perfect an RP. Okay? But never be afraid of accents or any accent that you may have. If you need to do another one, practice it. It's the only thing you can do. I'm from Edinburgh. I'm from Scotland. Virtually every single job I've ever done, I've had to speak with an RP. Fortunately, because I'm Scottish, that means RP comes very easily, because when we're growing up and we're making fun of authority, the voice that we imitate this voice. This is the voice that we all imitate. So we've all been doing it since we were 10 years old. So it's pretty straightforward for us. But yeah, I would work on that, and don't take any accent as a limitation, take it as an advantage. But you're also going to have to walk into a room and fool people that you're English. I've had to do it. The reason I know her, this is somebody was talking about Sharp before, is when I went to meet the director, Tom Clegg, for the show Sharp's Rifles, I pretended to be an English public school boy, ex-English public school boy with a hangover, because that was the role. It was...
it fooled me too. I thought I would be very rich.
Thanks very much, Assumpta. Welcome to Assumpta Confessions.
That's not true.
Here, live on the internet.
That's not true, I'm an actress.
Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
So Ian Ampollo says, "Hi, Scott and Assumpta. What are your thoughts on wearing sunglasses for a film? They won't see my eyes, but it's the director's choice, not mine." Well, Ian, I don't think your director is very experienced because he's going to have a lot of problems.
He's going to have a lot of problems because he's going to either spend most of his time sending a gaffer up to spray your lenses with anti-spot, which means nobody will be able to see in or out. And it's a terrible thing for lighting. Just look at the Matrix films. The amount of times you see a light box in their sunglasses is preposterous. The real reason why it's not very... Look, Steve Zahn in the film Out of Sight, directed by Steven Soderbergh with George Clooney, Don Cheadle, and Jennifer Lopez. Steve Zahn's character, who I think is called Gary, I'm not sure.
Wow.
He wears sunglasses in the entire film until he takes part in a home invasion with Don Cheadle and watches people being hacked to death. And he never wears the sunglasses for the rest of the film. What that does is that tells us and tells the audience that his eyes are finally opened and he can no longer hide. There's a very important story point to be made there. Mia Farrow in Broadway, Danny Rose wears sunglasses through the entire film, which is a tragedy. It's a real
Because she has wonderful eyes,
and she's a wonderful actress.
I think the eyes are really. If your director wants that, ask him why.
Look.
Ask him why, because your thoughts are here.
Look, you got John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd in the Blues Brothers, who wear classic black Ray-Ban glasses, and they never take them off for the entire film, apart from one moment where John Belushi is trying to convince his ex-wife, played by Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, that he's coming home or he doesn't want a divorce. Right? Yes, she did. It's not your fault, don't worry. May the force be with you. That's the only time he takes his glasses off. The curious thing for the British people who saw that movie is we'd never seen Dan Aykroyd's John Belushi's eyes in any other moment apart from in Animal House. But yeah, so
you have to tell your director really why do you want to do that? What is because the character, okay? So if you put it for 2 seconds.
Ian's the guy with the incredible voice. Remember we reviewed his demo a few. Yeah. So I would say
ask him why.
Ask him why. He said if you want to hide everything that this character is ever wants to show, fine.
Then when we reveal it.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid if you don't have a revelation of this character. If it's really because he wants so, because it means that I don't think he knows what he's doing. It's going to be also a lot of problems for him in terms of lighting, in terms of actually liking the character. A good idea we all can have at 5 p.m. But then at 10 p.m., this idea, if you see it in the rushes 1 and twice and 3 and 4 times, is not a good idea anymore. So I think that it's an idea that you can actually talk out of that idea to him, because it's not a nice one, to have a character all the time with sunglasses, unless there is justified because we want to say, or it's a metaphor or something. But then ask why. Perhaps he has the why, and if he has the why, then what you can do is to find another why. Another why is not the best choice. Perhaps you can have another, metaphor or, another thing that is
maybe
parallel with your director's one. And
right. If he goes, well, what about Arnie in Terminator 2? Okay, because there's that specific point in the movie when he walks out of the bar after stealing the guy's clothes. And he's about to get onto his motorcycle, and the guy comes out with a shotgun, and he says, "I can't let you take the man's wheels, son." And he walks up to him, and he's got a shotgun. He walks up to him, and in one movement, takes the shotgun out of his hand. The guy's like this. And then he reaches up, and he thinks he's going to kill him, but he actually takes a pair of, they're actually called gargoyle sunglasses, takes them out, flips them open, puts them on, walks to the bike, stows the gun, holsters the gun in the bike, starts it up, drives off. Okay?
In a very nice precision.
One of the most precise pieces of physical acting you'll ever see. You go, well, he does it there. And you go, well, the real reason he's wearing glasses is because there's a point where he gets hit and his glasses come off and it shows the force of what's going on. And the other thing is it makes it easier to sell a double if I've got my double wearing these big old sunglasses. So there's technical reasons for it.
Yes,
but character-wise, it's a kind of tough sell.
If he has the why, it has to be a very good why. Because, like Edu Espina says, fight for your eyes.
Fight for your eyes.
It's nice.
Fight for your eyes, Ian. We're all with you. And just if you want us to write a strongly worded email, we can do that from Spain. Dear director of Ian's film.
Why?
Why, oh, why, oh, why? Right. So
okay, thank you very much.
Thanks very much. We'll be back here next Thursday, but also we'll be here tomorrow, Friday, in Spanish at the same bat time, same bat channel. You never heard that before?
Bat channel.
Well, no, at the end of Batman, the 60s TV show, they go, this time next week, the same bat time at the same bat channel. With Batman. It was great stuff.
Okay, so it's 9:23, 1 hour and a half. Thank you very much for us being here.
And remember,
for you being here.
For us, thank you for us being.
Sorry.
It's been one of those days.
It's been one of these long days.
So, Crystal, tell me what you think of my email, whether any of it makes any sense when you have a chance to read it. And don't worry, I always have to tell people when I send them stuff, I'm like, oh my God, it's just going to go to their spam folder. Mm-hmm. It's always terrible. Remember, if you want to send us your demos or your showreels, send them through WeTransfer to Scott at familiadecine.com. That's where we get everything. Remember, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, follow the channel, leave us a like, have a look at the playlist. There's an English playlist, lots of stuff there. Thank you, Viviana, for being with us this evening. It was lovely to see you. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. I don't know why an Australian is doing in Berlin. It's a curious thing.
Ross said actually the name of his show. So I think it's Beat the Chaser.
Beat the Chasers.
Beat the Chasers, exactly. Beat the Chasers. So good luck.
So good luck with you if you're still there.
Someone wants to see.
If you want to see what,
Scott's brother.
You see, I'm just a prototype. Ross is the real deal. I was just a test. They were just test driving the genetics when they pulled me out. And thank you very much. And remember, if you're seeing us on Facebook, remember to like the page and follow the page, and you'll find out all about our other all our other live streams that we do during the week. And the other thing is we have Patreon, which is, of course, we have our community, the Familia Decine, which is there. But also, if you have interest in coaching or classes or preparation of self-tapes.
In English.
Or, if you want me to have a strongly worded conversation with your director, Ian, you never know. That's the way that we do with all those particular things. But our intention is that we're going to keep doing this as long as that we're interesting and the people are interested in what we're talking about. And thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, Assumpta.
No, thank you. And next week, you'll know how you say that? Better?
Well, as I always like to say,
more?
No, how about we do this? Tomorrow onwards and upwards.
Okay.
If I go tomorrow.
More?
No, onwards.
Sorry.
Sorry, this is rehearsal. Talk amongst yourselves. All right. So hang on 1 second.
5 minutes later.
Tomorrow. Onwards.
And upwards.
That's it. That was
Do you know if you want to get really, really mess up something, get two extremely experienced professional actors. So tomorrow.
Onwards.
And upwards.
That's it.
That worked. Bye for now. All right, this is a very, very quick after show because it's been a very, very long day, and we want to say thank you to everybody out there. And also, please remember to share this, tell people about what it is that we're doing.
Your friends, your people.
Because what we love more than anything else is to share what we know and hopefully make a difference in this very, very competitive and sometimes rather cynical and exploitative world of actors, acting, training, representation, photos, curriculums, CVs, and of course showreels.
TV, here we are.
Yeah, because I don't know if you haven't noticed, but the one thing that got us through this last year was Netflix and Amazon and HBO and Apple and all the other streaming services. That and YouTube. This is the TV of the future. Every single TV channel in the world is terrified right now because there's some guy on Twitch who's getting more live views than they're getting on their TV channels that have $1 billion a year infrastructure bill.
Well, we are happy that you tell your friends, your acting friends, your actor friends, also directors, if they want to, ask us anything. Here we are, and we will be.
Take care. Lots of love.